I do want to ask you one thing because there's a thing out there. There was a, and I don't know if you want to answer it. I don't think you give a shit at this point. Now, when Anthony got fired, there was a rumor there was a big name celebrity that Sirius XM was trying to pair you with. Are you allowed to answer that? Because there's a lot of suspicions out there. There's a lot of people have said Brewer. A lot of people have said Baggett.
I think I could say it now. So when Anthony left, it's the only reason Jim and Sam are still at Sirius XM. The fact is, their show stinks on ice. I do a much better job by myself on my deck. I don't have producers. You're my biggest guest in over a year, to be honest with you, and I still do a better job than those guys. The fact is that Sirius XM kept Jim and Sam to keep what was left of the Opie and Anthony audience. And the reason I know that is because when Anthony got fired, they wanted to keep as much of the audience as possible. They knew the guy wasn't reliable anymore, and his racist crap was getting completely out of hand. So they wanted to do whatever they could to help me out to continue, okay? And they offered a comedian $1 million a year to join me, and I think Jim Norton at the time, I believe. And who do you think that comic was? A lot of people think it was Brewer. It wasn't Brewer.
Okay, yeah, Brewer was definitely the guy.
Me and Brewer talked about doing a show together more times than I could even count. And we got really, really close when he was touring with Metallica.
Yeah.
You remember when he was doing that?
Yeah.
And he was ready to pull the trigger, and he goes, "Oh," in the end, he's like, "I just don't think I have time. I'm on the road with Metallica, and it wouldn't be, the timing just sucks, but I really want to do this." And then we never really talked about it again. But so it wasn't Brewer.
Well, the other theory out there because I'm like I said, I'm the radio nerd. I pay attention to this nonsense. I was on, what was that, All Access radio site? Like I did all that nonsense for a while.
Right.
And there was a rumor floating that it was Bob Saget.
No, but I mean, me and Bob were actually friends. I was texting with him pretty close to his death. Actually, we always stayed in touch, and we double dated a few times in New York. The guy, you want to talk about someone that's famous? Holy crap! Bob Saget couldn't walk the streets of New York. Every step, people would come up to him. He was incredibly famous. But the fact is, I didn't think he worked that great on the Opie and Anthony show. He was okay. And it's Bob Saget, and he was cool, and he didn't suck, but I could name a whole bunch of comedians that were better than him, including, Chris DiStefano, Jim Brewer, Bob Kelly, a whole bunch of other, Patrice O'Neill, of course. So no, it wasn't Bob Saget. That would have been a tough show to do. And he's an A-lister. He's not going to grind it out. You know what radio's about. You know what live streaming is about. You got to grind it out.
Yeah. Well, the third one, if I have to guess, is Louis C.K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been a massive get, but he was making way more money than what SiriusXM could offer him to do something like that. And with Louis C.K., when he got crazy famous, he stopped doing our show. Really, he would come in every once in a while, but he started doing Howard more. I hate when that happens, and then people are like, "What? It's just business." It's like, no, man, you help a lot of these guys out, and then they finally get their big break, and you want them to bring you along a little bit with them. And certainly Louis, he put us on his TV show and stuff, so he's not a bad guy. But I always got mad that he didn't do our show as frequently when he got massively huge. But I literally don't have an issue with Louis C.K. It wasn't Louis C.K.
Yeah, those are my only guesses. Right.
It wasn't Bill Burr. Another one that was better than Saget, by the way, obviously.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Man, I don't know if I want to blow the guy's spot up. I feel bad.
Well,
I mean, how bad is it if I mention the name?
I mean, you'll get some clicks. People will subscribe to the Opie Radio's YouTube channel. I know that.
I don't think it's a bad thing, though. That this comedian turned down $1 million to do radio with me, and I think Jim Norton at the time.
Okay? Tell me why he turned it down.
I think it was just an opinion. I think he was scared of the blowback he would get from Anthony and his camp, because he would be perceived as the guy that is absolutely taking over.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was. I can't speak for the guy, but I think that's what it was.
Well, let me get okay. I got one more guess. It just popped in my head.
Okay.
Artie Lang.
It's so interesting. I got stories on all these guys. So Artie started doing my show before Anthony, another guy that was doing my show before Anthony, and he was having so much fun doing radio with me, and he gave me incredible hours of radio that he texted me, and he's like, I really want to like figure out how we could do this on a regular basis. My whole thought at the time was, I can't go into business with another addict.
Yeah. Well,
and I just said, you could figure out who I'm talking about. I didn't mention any names, but the fact is, I did not want to go into business with another addict at that point. I kind of had it.
Yeah.
And when you do radio and you do the Opie and Anthony show, you're around a lot of addicts. That's all I'll say.
No, I completely understand.
And I was bummed because like Artie is, man, you know, sometimes I talk about like, I think Artie, when he was on, was like, he could have been the best.
Oh yeah, he's great.
He could have been the best, man. I mean, and we were fortunate to work with all of them, but when Artie was on, he was just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I mean, he changed, in my opinion, made the Stern Show way better than what it was, and it was like another level. And that's when I became like, I wanted to do comedy because of Artie Lang and Jim Norton. I was like, I'm a comedian. I want to be on the radio, and you know, I got to do it, and you know, not on the level of you guys, of course, but I did. You know, I had a nice salary. I had a company car, health insurance, so it was a good time. You know, and it was fun. They wanted to syndicate our show, and it was a good time. So I was definitely influenced by all of that you guys created.